In the last 2 episodes of Cinema is Dying. That's the wrong series, I'm sorry. We're going to decide which decade is the best for films, eliminating each decade until we have a winner. Right, let's not waste any time here. This is the important one. This is how we're going to do this. We're not going to rely on the AFI's best film list, for obvious reasons. We want world cinema to be present, or the British Film Institute's list either. I mean, what is this? This is terrible. Boring. Rotten Tomatoes at no.
A new report claims to expose Rotten Tomatoes, and I've got my thoughts right now.
Nor IMDb, or otherwise known as the Christopher Nolan fanboy list. I mean, I love me some Christopher Nolan, but The Dark Knight f***ing Rises?
Who is the one man to have defeated me in freestyle? Only me. Yeah.
Instead, we're going to decide which decade has the best pound-for-pound films. I think we should start by immediately eliminating some decades. I picked the 2010s. Bye! Whilst we have some commendable efforts here like Parasite, Inception, and The Social Network, these efforts don't have the longevity nor the weight of, say, There Will Be Blood from the 2000s, which leads nicely to the 2000s. Again, some incredible choices here. The Dark Knight, No Country for Old Men, Lord of the Rings, Part 3. It's not called Part 3, I know. Spirited Away. And taking each into consideration, they certainly can punch some real weight. But let's compare the best of them, There Will Be Blood, to the 1930s. Citizen Kane, there's no competition, which moves us nicely to the 1930s. Now we have a problem. This decade is so strong. Gone with the Wind, King Kong, Modern Times, The Wizard of Oz, Citizen Kane. Although technically it came out in 1941, so... You know what? Let's leave the 1930s where they are. We'll come back to that. Let's go a decade back. The 1920s. The Roaring Twenties.
You know that motherfucker changed his name to Doyle.
Didn't realize you were so sensitive.
As a baby's ass, motherfucker.
What's motherfucker mean?
Was that word invented then? We're going to be rather elitist here and just eliminate the 1920s. Only because they are mainly silent films. Sorry, silent folk.
You've got to talk into the mic.
Well, I can't make love to a bush.
I can tell some film students right now are going absolutely ballistic at me. I'm so sorry. Now, let's aim for the 1960s. Look at this. Best transition ever. 2001, one of the greatest films ever.
Fetch for it.
Incredible films. Even the film debut of Robert Duvall.
Mr. Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
And this shot. Wow.
What's motherfucker mean?
But I'm afraid we have a 2000s issue here. The individual parts don't equate to the whole sum. 60s, you're gone. Oh hey, the 80s, the decade where Hollywood went blockbuster mad. Tight list, but you're gone. Raging Bull was made in 1979, released in 1980. So you know what? I'm reclaiming Raging Bull. Right, so here's where we're at. The 1930s, the 1940s, the 1950s, the 1970s, and the 1990s are the remaining contenders. The 50s, yeah, you need to go too. I'm so sorry, Kurosawa. You deserved better. Hitchcock. I'm so sorry.
Good evening.
However, when you see the weight of the films we have left, you'll understand why. From the 30s, 40s, 70s, and 90s, we're now gonna make a top 5 list of the best films ever to see where we land. Number 5, we have Citizen Kane. Number 4, we have Taxi Driver. Number 3, we have Pulp Fiction. Number 2, Wizard of Oz. Number 1, The Godfather 1, or two. They are literally interchangeable. Now, from that list, we have 2 films from the 70s. Therefore, the 70s wins.
You fucking piece of shit!
I'm sorry, Joe.
What's motherfucker mean?
And really, it's no wonder that the 70s wins. The 70s were the rise of the director-driven films, the decade of The Godfather, Taxi Driver, Star Wars and Jaws. They showed a blend of artistic vision and commercial success. Scorsese, Lucas, Spielberg are all relevant now. De Palma influenced Tarantino.
For instance, when I was, in my, still now he's one of my favorite filmmakers, but like in particular when I was in my 20s, I loved Brian De Palma.
In fact, you can make a very strong argument that they are the most influential directors ever in mainstream and art house cinema. I could talk about the impact of 70s cinema forever, but instead, I'll just show you this. Oh man, the 80s were rough. Why is the media always referencing the 80s? They were rough.
Eric! Like...
Worst decade ever. Do you agree that the 70s are the best decade for films? If not, what is the best decade for films? Let me know in the comments. And if you've not hit the subscribe button, please hit it now. I would love that.